Good everyone, today's video. Today it's a review on the Panther F. Now the Panther F has a bit of an unusual design to it, as you can probably tell by the turret. This is what's called and I'm going to try and pronounce it, a Schmallturm. Something like that, a Schmallturm. And I believe it means narrow mantlet in German. It's something mantlet. And essentially, it's because the earlier Panthers, which I'm just going to load up a earlier Panther, for example. So I'll load up the A. The earlier Panthers had a problem with shot trap. As you can tell, a shot could easily ricochet down and into the weak upper hull armor of the, upper roof armor of the hull of the Panther. And obviously this would be a penetration, knocking the tank out most likely. But as you can tell on the Panther F, this is not the case. It is 120mm thick on the front, pretty much flat. It does have a bit of sloping to it, but it doesn't make a huge amount of difference. And the turret overall has improved armor, with the top being 40mm, the top of the hull being 25mm, the sides and rear of the turret being 60, and these little optics here being 60. I bet you're wondering what these optics are, but don't worry, we'll come to that soon. Now there is a slight weak spot on the commander's hatch, however most of the time people screw up the shot and hit the angled part, so I wouldn't say hide the commander's hatch, but just be aware of it anyway. But other than that, the Panther F just is pretty much just a G hull, at least from what I can see, with a Schmallturm turret. Now it's been long since debated, from what I've seen on most YouTube videos, if the Panther F Schmallturm turret was ever built. It was because there's one sat in the Bovington Tank Museum, so there clearly was one built. Fair enough, it's shot to shit, but even so. Now you may notice the different designation in Canon, KWK-44, and there's no muzzle brake. As you can tell, it's simply a KWK-42 in a different mounting. But what's these optics for then? Why do these look so unusual for a World War II tank? Well, here's your answer. This is a rangefinder. Now I've never used it because I don't really need to use a rangefinder. I personally find that I don't really need rangefinders because I tend to estimate the range pretty well on its own. And even if I don't hit, I'm at least about 100 yards off, if that. But obviously, to use the rangefinder, you would have to set up a keybind for it. Obviously, with it being a rank 4 upgrade, it's quite a trek. Now, unfortunately, the Panther F, to get this rangefinder, loses a couple of factors. Number one, obviously the Schmallturm turret, whilst being quite thick for what it is, it cannot protect against most guns within about 700 meters. This is why I say this tank is a sniper's dream. There's much less chance of being penetrated on the turret if you keep it at range. Against 76mm Shermans, against 85mm equipped Russian vehicles, and past around 700 meters, they're really going to struggle because obviously the sloping modifier. And with obviously you having the rangefinder, you can even push this up to over 1 kilometer and snipe them with ease, whilst they can't really do much to you. The most they'll do is hit your lower glacis and do nothing, except take out your gearbox, and obviously you have a turret, so it's not that big of a deal. This is where we're getting to the downsides of the Panther F. Once again, it has no reverse gear. It does 2 miles an hour in reverse. Pretty terrible. And from what I've found, the engine that's actually equipped in this tank has, I believe, is it a rev limiter or like a speed limiter or something? Or like just a power limiter to reduce stress on the engine? And to put it simply, this engine produces less horsepower than the Panther D. The Panther D, I think, pushes around 650 horsepower. This only pushes 600 and it's the heaviest Panther other than the Panther 2. So yeah, it's quite a bit of a heavy tank. So it's got heavy tank levels of mobility. It still has medium level of armor. And obviously with the reverse gear being quite poor, you're not going to get that many situations. However, you do get 6 smoke grenades. And with the Schmallturm turret being the way it is, you obviously have the rangefinder and you also have an improved reload rate. I currently have it on 7.1 seconds, however you can get it down to I think it's like 6.7 seconds, which for a Panther's 75mm is really impressive. It's when we get into the discussion of up tiers. You'll be fighting a lot of Super Pershings, T-34s, T-29s, T-30s on the odd occasion. Their armor will make your gun look like a pea shooter in most situations. Another example is the British Tortoise. But you're going to see one of those in a Panther G review, so don't worry. You'll see that there are spots that you can go for on a Tortoise to potentially kill it. Keyword. But other than that, I really had an alright time spraying the Panther F. It was a bit sluggish when stock, which you're going to notice. You especially notice it when you just start out playing it. But overall, I found the tank to work really nicely. So, 21 kills, 0 air kills, unlike the G. That's a spoiler for when I sprayed a G. And 134 ground targets destroyed. Most of my deaths were from cass holes. An awful lot of revenge bombing took place sprayed in this tank. A couple of the deaths were to overmatching the side armor, because even though the side armor is improved on the Panther F, it isn't in the lower part. So angling the hull is not really advised unless you absolutely have to, because they'll just target right here and go through. Angling your turret could actually be done. Now, obviously, you've got to avoid the overmatch and everything if you're facing a high caliber gun. If you're facing a high caliber gun, it's better to just take the shot on the front of the turret and hope for the best. So, that's my best advice. And obviously, British Sabo will render your armor completely useless except for this part. So don't count on surviving against a British Centurion or FV4202. But anyway, let's get into the battle and let's have a look at what I got up to in the Panther F. Like I say, I like the Panther F. A lot of people don't. I think that arises from the fact that this thing used to be, I believe, was it 6.3 at one point, this tank? If anyone can remember, please do let me know, but I think this thing used to be 6.3 at one point. And that's really where a lot of the hate for the tank started. Because didn't the T-54 used to be 7.3 at one point? I don't remember. I didn't really get into tanks until 2016. So, and well, nice reception. Get shot in the bum by a teammate. Hey. Oh dear. But I couldn't be bothered to deal with him, so we'll just continue on. So in this battle, I was pretty much almost spaded. I had the spare retard, I had the brakes, and I had the suspension left to go. I believe I got spare retard done after this, and I almost got the suspension done after this game as well. Now this tactic that I'm going to do, once again, it's another one of my favourite spots. I wouldn't recommend doing it in a Panther, especially if you don't have smoke. Because, well, you'll just see how slow this thing is in reverse. And don't worry, I'm not gonna let you sit through it, because, well, it took forever. But I'm obviously deploying smoke, and I'm preparing to move into position. And, well, here's the reverse speed, folks. Hooray! This is literally the speed that you go backwards. And that's a spaded Panther. Don't worry. I'll speed it up for you. Now then. Now we're finally up. Obviously I've had to use all my smoke to actually get into my position. But this is where I'm going to stay for the rest of the game. Obviously it's a 12-minute game. I stay up here for about 10 minutes. And this was a win. And it was a very well-deserved win. Obviously the Panther F's not the best at neutral steering. But it's still not the worst. You still get neutral steering, it doesn't change that, but just be aware that your lower horsepower, first kill, will affect your ability to turn on the spot to some degree. So obviously I killed that Sherman there, went for a shot on the T-20, which I actually want to get one of those tanks eventually, do a review on it. or like do a video on it at some point because I actually want it. And obviously that's second kill. Now there's a guy down there named Kamikaze Russ. You're going to be seeing a lot of him later. That's a hint, by the way. But obviously with only 600 horsepower and it being a 45-ton tank, it really can struggle to move. So don't guarantee it to be super fast like it's a Formula 1 car, unfortunately. This one's a bit like an 18-wheeler. Takes a bit to get going. But surprisingly, the Schmallturm turret is actually really useful. I was able to bounce some shots that I didn't even think I could bounce. So just be aware of that. And obviously with the curving of the turret as it goes out to the side, that's really where the turret really came into its own. Nice shot on an FV right there. That's kill number 3. That's really the best hope you can have for an FV. Otherwise, you're the FV's bitch. You're really going to have to wait for a hull shot or the side of the turret. That's my best advice in this tank. Obviously, I stopped there briefly, but this thing's still got a good bit of torque left in the engine, even though it's limited. And it can get up to this position rather nicely. So obviously, I didn't have artillery this game, so this would have been actually... This would have been when I was going for artillery. So I would have been on the last rank 4 mods. I'd have been into the artillery and the APCR, or the rangefinder round, or the rangefinder. Got number 4 on that Sherman there, nice and simple, right through the front. It'll always do that, unless you hit the curving transmission part, in which case it will not do that. So always make sure to hit the front plate, because otherwise it will ricochet. And the 76mm at that range could easily crack your turret, so just bear that in mind. But even though this engine's a little bit limited on power, it can still get into a good position nice and early. Obviously I spotted the Centurion, our mate Kamikaze. He turns his hull because obviously he doesn't know I'm here. And there we go. Kill number 5. It's already up to an ace, and well, you're going to see Mr. Kamikaze Russ later on. I think he's a bit pissed off at me personally. But hey, Russian players always have to look for revenge kills, don't they? And he comes back in a Carnarvon, or as Richie D calls it, Carnarvon. Because, well, he's Irish, he pronounces it so fucking funny, like, I'm not even joking. This shot, I was looking for a hull shot, but the Super Pershing turned right as I went for the, just past that drive wheel. And, well, unfortunately, I just couldn't get the shot in. But, don't worry, a teammate did. Tiger 2P just ripped his head off. That's an assist. Because we did damage the tank at least. And well, here's the glorious reverse speed. To be honest, folks, you'd be better off just doing a neutral turn if you're not under fire, and just turning the tank around. It'd be honestly quicker. However, I advise getting a bit of speed and then turning, because, well, neutral steering with a weaker engine is going to take quite some time. So there's a friendly Type 63 currently engaged in the Carnarvon. However, he is going to be shot and killed very shortly, the Type 63, which is the Chinese amphibious tank. But obviously I'm coming over here because I spotted the heavy tank on the minimap, and I'm obviously making my way over to come and deal with it. Well, at the start of the game, the enemy team started trying to push our spawn through the castle area. And we really have no idea why, because, well, they're not really going to do anything, are they? Whipped a shot in the Carnarvon, just aimed it a bit wrong, but I still got the gunner and the loader. Or at least that, in fact no, it was the gunner and the commander I think it was. And well, I spot a 76 Jumbo. Obviously I knew it was a Jumbo, so I thought, better wait. And well, the Carnarvon comes around the corner, obviously thinking, where did that get shot from in my British tank? Well, you didn't look hard enough, pal. Kill number 6. Once again, he's going to be pissed off. And well, there's a nice little M18. This guy had the fucking look of saint. First shot, gunner and loader. Okay, it didn't hit anything vital, so it's not a hull break. I'll accept that. Shot number 2 is coming very shortly on this guy. He had the look of the fucking gods or the look of the retards. Probably the second. Next shot. Hits the engine block, doesn't hull break the tank, and well, the fire does the rest, thankfully. Kill number 7. But this position is just perfect for holding off the enemy team, because they don't expect it half the time. They don't expect you to use this position. And well, there's going to be one guy who's expecting it. And yes, those were bombs behind me. Mr. Ender BV, obviously he knew where I was, because, well, he's been paying attention. And he went to try and bomb me in his P-47N. However, a whirlwind ate him up and spat him out, so that's always nice, isn't it? So at this point, we have the A point under control. Our team is slowly working over the enemy team. That 76 Jumbo down there just got worked over by a Chinese SU-100. And at this point, I engage my final tank, which is a M26 Pershing. Obviously the shot ricochets, because I didn't really know what it was, because, well, I think he has bushes on his tank. And I'm just thinking, the Pershing's got pretty alright armor. On the hull. And it can't really protect against the 75mm of the Panther. But when he was angled like that, it can. But obviously I spotted him moving, went for the shot, and I hit just where the weld goes down to meet the lower glacis. And obviously it's pretty much flat there, so that's a penetration. And that is my final kill for this game. So like I say, the Panther F is a good tank. I really like it. Just, this thing's more of a sniper's dream. With the shot trap being eliminated, the only real threats now are IS-2s at long range and British Sabo. So, try and use this thing as a sniper if you can. But anyway, I'm going to let you guys off, and I will see you all on the next one.